and welcome to Blueprint Radio, a guide to fitness, health, and wealth. And today we come to you from beautiful Tamarina Brickell. Here are my co-hosts, Dr. Scott Kjelson, Mr. Courtney Thomas.
Hello, hello.
And today we want to remind you why it is that we bring this show to you every week. And it is because we really have a passion for living a balanced, healthier life. I mean, the main question we would have for our audience is how many of us at one point or another has felt way too stressed out by finances, being a little overweight, by being injured maybe, and just feeling a little like we're drowning. Well, what we're focusing on this show is to be able to address that by saying you don't have to feel that way. There is an inextricable link between fitness, health, and wealth that if we address each and every one of these issues one step at a time, we really can attack that feeling of stressed out and convert it and change it to be one of a feeling of wellness, a feeling of health, a feeling of vitality, and a feeling like we want to go out there and conquer the world. So we hope that each and every one of you have that same passion that each one of us has to be able to live a more balanced and healthy life.
Okay, so today's theme is getting started. In the fitness world, what does that mean to me? It means creating accountability through daily productivity. What does that mean? Consistency. Consistency is the overall reason how you're going to get through and stay with your program. Majority of people set unattainable goals. Unattainable goals lead to failure. Get consistency, become more active daily, and then build upon it. So if you run a mile this week, next week, include a yoga class. The following week, maybe you incorporate Zumba. Whatever you have to do, continue to build and get more consistent. Do you agree?
I would completely agree. So the question I have for you is, so how does one such as myself say, how do I go from running, a quarter mile to getting to that mile? It just seems overwhelming, so I want to know how I can attack it one step at a time.
Start small.
Okay.
Power walk, 100 meters, run 100 meters.
Okay.
Jog 100 meters, go back to power walking 100 meters. Next week, run 200 meters, walk 100 meters. Every week, just try to build upon what you've already done.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess you just, how do you eat a cow? One bite at a time?
Right, exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly.
Well, I also think some of the listeners and viewers, they're not even in the gym yet. So how would you say they would get started? Because I know when I'm, reading into the health, to get healthier, people that are sick even, they're recommended to work out 30 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week, right? I think that's a great start for anybody because the idea is you're in an atmosphere, you're around people that are motivated. So even if you go there, stretch, work out, and just feel that atmosphere, that motivation, that could be the rate limiting step to an increased, productive workout or health lifestyle.
Exactly.
Would you agree?
Exactly. I definitely agree. And that's primarily what it is. Once you find the time, you create the time, you can always be consistent.
Right.
And if you stop, find a way to get back on that track.
Right.
Get back going.
I wanted to share with you, I don't remember who told me this. I think it might have been you or a friend of yours who said to me, you can start with something as simple as sitting on what is the big ball? I'm so technical with workout, right? What's the big
Swiss
ball?
ball.
Is it
The Swiss ball.
That ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, start with replacing your chair at work with a Swiss ball to engage your core.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fantastic. I think I'll try it. So I put that ball in my office. I lasted about, 2 minutes, but it engaged my core.
Right.
Would that be like an example of...
And that's all about building a foundation.
Okay.
You have to build a foundation, and that's why being consistent always raises the bar. So week to week, you build a better baseline. That's how trainers judge their clientele through baseline. First thing we do, we see where you are right now.
Oh, so you assess.
And then on a week-to-week basis, we get you better and better as we go.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also think that you got to find your schedule. If you're a morning person, I think waking up early would be an idea to work out or stretch.
Right.
If you're if you have energy at night, that would be your time. So you have to find out where you're actually a little bit more motivated or a little bit more energetic and make time for it. I think that's the most important thing is make it into your schedule to be there. If you're there, like I said, 3 times a week, it becomes a lifestyle. It's no longer a hassle. You're organizing around it. You're making that a lifestyle, and those are the points that you really need to look at, I feel.
Absolutely.
And I think I shared with you just yesterday that I was on the in the car driving somewhere, and I heard on the radio someone talk about that the best diet or fitness plan is one you can stick to.
Exactly.
And I found that to be pretty powerful because at the end of the day, you know, if you make it this big, you know, pipe dream, it's overwhelming and you quit if you know, don't attack it one step at a time.
Definitely.
Very true, very true. And once you tie down that fitness, we can break it down and get to the health side.
Well, I definitely think both are hand in hand. Obviously, there's a lot of programs that put those two together, and I mean, we could go right into the nutrition. I think the nutrition aspect is very important, but I feel that too many people find these diets just maybe online, or they find recommendations from their friends, and their friends have a different lifestyle. Not everybody is the same, right? Can we agree?
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
I think,
Look at us.
yeah, I mean, I'll never be 6'5" and 200+ pounds. So, exactly, yeah, in my dreams. But the idea is finding what balance is good for you in the sense of nutrition. I think that, and this is my take on it, is that right away, if you're trying to change your diet, if you're eating hamburgers and you have pizza or you have, you know, snacks, I'm not saying to cut those completely out, because we're not going to tell you to do something that's going to, you know, shock your body so much, because what's going to happen is it's like a rubber band. It's going to bounce back, right? So what you would do is, if you're eating hamburgers, cheeseburgers, try eating without the cheese. Try eating without so much sauce. Try putting a wheat bun instead of white bread bun, right? Because the idea is you're going to reduce the cravings. You know, if the last time you ate pizza, let's say, it wasn't as good, you might not have it in your head to eat pizza. And as you incorporate the workout, like we talked about, you start to reduce those cravings for those fatty foods or those heavy sugars or high carb foods. So go ahead.
So wait a second. So you're saying that if I do something to make it less attractive and less appealing, that I'm tricking my body into craving it a little less? Is that
Correct.
what I heard you say?
Correct. And also,
Awesome.
there's a lot of things that you could do. So, you know, people complain all the time about they're being at work. They don't have enough time to eat healthy. I know in my field, especially people that are working long hours and shifts and so forth like that, they're with patients. They don't have a lot of time. Recommendation, bring healthy snacks. Bring convenient snacks. Make the snacks convenient. The other thing is meal preps. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to cook. Cook when you're off, right? And prep those foods. You have to make food a convenience. The reason people go to fast food restaurants is why?
Convenience.
Convenience.
It's fast and easy.
And I think that's what we need to reduce the realm of the industry of convenient, horrible foods for your body versus great foods for your body. You know, protein shakes, protein bars, and so forth like that. Things that are healthier, bring to work, make a convenience, and eat that way. What would you say about that?
I mean, the way you're breaking it down, it almost seems like you're getting people to transition slowly into being more healthy.
Correct.
So, like, for me, I love bread. You know what I mean? That's where I fail at. So maybe eating that burger without the bread would be a good start, you know, to kind of like wean myself off of the bread. I like what you
or
think.
even, like, I'm a fanatic for bread as well. So instead of having a sandwich with 2 pieces, maybe do an open face
Right.
sandwich
Right.
and
Exactly.
eliminate 1 piece
Exactly.
slowly.
Or eating
right?
half of the hamburger at a time rather than the whole thing at a time.
Got it.
Because then you give your you don't give your body such a big shock at one point in time. And I think that that's an important fact. Maybe less sauce, so forth like that.
Right.
You're just training your body, slowly training. And the idea too is there's healthy alternatives. I mean, we're here at Tamarina, and the idea
That's
here
right.
is this is a high-end restaurant that offers healthy alternatives. So, you know, in your society or your friend
Your
group,
your
yeah,
social
you don't
circle.
look like the outcast or the outstanding person eating such healthy food. Like I'm eating the salad at a steak restaurant,
Right, right.
So that's what's good about this place, this location, and places just like this. I think that's an important factor. I mean,
I completely agree. And I want to go back real quick to something you said about food prep. I was so, like, what I considered food prep was like, okay, boiling water and throwing corn in it. That's
Yeah.
as much as I knew. Until I had a baby 3 years ago. And then I was like, oh, I want my child to be super healthy. It's crazy how you live vicariously through your kids sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I started saying, okay, I'm going to cook for him. And I found that cooking every Sunday, 3 meals, and then on Wednesday nights, the rest of the meals, it really just, it broke it down. It made it more manageable. And I'm proud of that. The fact that my sister tried to take my son the other day to a fast food restaurant, and she says, what is he like here? And I said, note to you, he's never been. And he's 3 years old. And she sent me a picture of him biting into a burger, and I cringed.
yeah. Well,
But
I will say there's 2 things that a lot of people do, and it just depends. We want to make things easy. I mean, going back to the fitness aspect too, you make things easy because you have a program that's beat the gym, right? So that's a convenience factor. So the other convenience factor is if you go shopping and you go to buy your, let's say, chicken, right?
Okay.
Prep it. Sit it out and prep it before you put it away.
That's right, it's done.
So then right when you take it out of the refrigerator or the freezer, it's already ready to go. That's a convenience factor, right?
That's a good
And
point.
and the other thing is there's a lot of meal delivery services, right? If you don't want to take the 2 hours to shop, drive to the shopping center, pay, and drive back and put the vegetables and the produce, everything back.
Yeah.
I mean, they have meal deliveries that will deliver food 2 days at a time, ready to go. And the best part about it is it's fresh. And you're not eating the same thing every day, which some of us, when we meal prep, let's be honest,
Yeah.
we get tired of the same foods every day.
Turkey,
Right.
And more turkey. You know?
Right. So, I
Absolutely.
mean, that's an important factor. But I definitely think that it's just titration when it comes to eating healthy. You got to work your way into the diet.
I love it. I love it. Well, I don't know what the segue is other than the fact that I want to talk a little bit about how we get started with finances. And you're probably wondering, how do we tie it in? Well, really easily. I mean, it's the same thing. For example, Tony, when you are talking about learning a new exercise
Right.
or even a sport, let's say
Right.
basketball,
Mhm.
there's a game plan, right?
Absolutely.
And even with food, you would say there has to be a game plan. You have to kind of know what your shopping list looks like before you go to the grocery store, and don't go too hungry.
Right, because I don't play basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's that question.
Yeah. I saw that.
So it's the same thing with finances. So what we want to do is, for those of you who heard me last time, the first thing you want to do is address cash flow. Just assess where your money is going. Whatever money you're bringing in, it's going somewhere. There's no extra money. They're either spending it or saving it into some kind of bucket. So I talked about that being the first step, call it cash flow. But further than that, I would say the first thing after that you want to do is clean up your messy drawer. What do I mean by that? Can you all agree that most of us have a messy drawer in the kitchen, right? Where we throw our
Definitely.
keys and our healthy restaurant menus.
Yeah, healthy.
And our trainer's phone number. Well, that's usually a mess. And most of us can say that our financial lives are akin to a messy drawer. What do I mean by that? Well, if I asked you, let's say the average person on the street, they might say, oh yeah, that's right, I have a 401k at work. Let me see where I can find that. Let me call my HR department. And then maybe I asked you and you were like, yeah, I have a CD earning 0.0001, but I have a CD at such and such a bank. And then the other person might say, yeah, I have a life insurance policy I took out when my baby was born. But none of them, anybody, no one? I don't know. Anyway, correct me, I'm not an English major, math, finance. Most everybody has that mess of their finances, and they say, this is all these pieces. They come to me and say, okay, but they don't know how it works. So the first step would be just figure out what's in that drawer and organize it. And this is how you can simply organize it. Put it into 3 stacks.
And that's a good for people getting started to understand that that's a great step.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing is, especially when people are just thinking like, hey, this is a new life, new career,
Right.
New job, or even coming out of school, they're starting a new lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And you need to prepare. I always say, expect the best, but prepare for the worst.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
So in sense of finance, I mean, that's a great one.
Absolutely. And what I was going to say was that you wonder, okay, so how do I organize it? Just think of it in 3 letters, P, S, and G. If you can remember P, S, and G, you're on the right track. P, protection. S, savings. G, growth. Everything you have is going to fall into one of those except for debt. Notice I did not talk about debt yet. That's in the cash flow. Go ahead.
So, protection,
Mhm.
savings, and growth.
Correct.
Okay, what
What falls
kind of-
into each?
Exactly.
Give you an example of what would be protection. Your homeowner's insurance policy would be protection. You're protecting against your house burning down, right? Life insurance would be
Right.
protection. Believe it or not, wills and trusts, that falls under protection. You're protecting your estate. So does that give you an example of the P? So
Absolutely.
an example of the S in savings would be a CD in a bank, would be, let's say, a separate savings account you have for your child, would be just that extra money you put on the side, even the money under your mattress. That's considered savings. Normally, that's liquid, easy to access, something that doesn't have penalties. Also within the savings, you could have what you call your long-term savings, like retirement, and then the G in the growth would be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and also as far as your business, your tax shelters, etc. So
Well-
if you start with that, you should be able to get a good grasp of where you are, and then we'll take you to the next step.
What would you recommend for somebody, let's say, starting a new family, or, like I said, coming out of school, maybe they just got a new career? What would you recommend right off the bat in the sense of finances for that person getting started?
2 different examples, and we'll address both on future sections. But a quick response to that was, first thing you do is assess what is it that you want. If you're coming into a new family, do you want to protect that child? If, God forbid, you couldn't go to work tomorrow, or you weren't around because God,
or you injured yourself.
You injured yourself. So you first think about what it is that you want, and then you start addressing what do I have already, and then what can I strategically reallocate to get to what I want.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So like that safety net.
That's right.
Okay, and the same thing goes for somebody coming out of school. I mean, they come out with a lot of debt.
Oh, and
200,000 plus on a grad school, And
absolutely, I agree, and I'll address that one as well. Again, always assess, look at your goals, strategically reallocate, and I will make sure that in one of our next episodes, I address those 2 specifically.
Well, thank you.
You got it. All right, well, these Getting Started segments were brought to you by Work Out Your Wealth, promoting healthier and wealthier living through sound financial and wellness services. And now we would like to welcome to the beautiful Tamarina Brickle our guest, Mr. Zach Deal, fitness model and online trainer. Welcome, Zach. How are you?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I think we're just going to start right off with the theme of our show today, which is, how did you get started?
That's good. That's a good question. Well, before I started lifting weights or really got into any type of weight training or anything in the gym, I was a competitive martial artist for about 8 years. I did Taekwondo. So I went to the Junior Olympics, I went to the Pan Am Games, and I kind of I lost heart for it, so I took about a year off. I was about 19 years old, and I remember I started hanging out with this guy who was really into weight training. He did all kinds of metabolic, kind of how Tony trains. He was always real lean, and I was at this time I was 6'5", about 158 pounds.
Oh,
so I was very, 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 very skinny. I did not know. I was skinny. I was very, very small. So what happened is I started training with him, and I started doing my research on nutrition, and really started to delve into the nutritional science aspect of everything, and started finding out what worked for my body. So sometimes I would come home, I would just try everything. I would eat like 8 potatoes after my workout just to see how much weight I could put on. So I gained the size. Some of it was kind of the wrong weight. Some of it was some fat, some water. I was kind of bloated. I was 21 years old, trying to get as big as I possibly could and be stronger and bigger than all my friends. And that's what it became. It became like a competition between me and my friends to see who could get the strongest, who could get the biggest. And I started to realize, okay, this is not what I want to do. I want to look good too. So I want to have a good physique instead of just powerlifting and see how much I can lift. So what I did is started incorporating some of the martial arts training again, some of the more metabolic, high intensity interval training workouts. And from there, I just started working on my physique, burning fat, building muscle at the same time, researching nutrition more. Started personal training, started helping other people, and I used my own success story, my own transformation to apply it to other people. Because what I did is I had to find what worked for me.
Right.
So what works for me is not going to work for Tony. What works for me is not going to work for you. What works for me is not going to work for you. So some people, they're going to do better with a high protein diet, low carb diet, and some people might do better with a moderate protein, high fat, moderate carb. So it's really just you have to find your group. You have to find what works for you.
Well, I could vouch for the martial arts. I train Muay Thai as well,
Okay.
and I think it's such an incredible sport.
Absolutely.
I love what you do, because we were just talking about convenience over here. With the online training, not only do you give your own testimonial, which makes people feel like, hey, you went through the same battle I'm facing right now, but the fact is you're making it easy. They could be in their home, their work, they're on the go even, and speak to you or speak to your company and really get the ins and outs of how to be a healthier, stronger, and motivated. That's the biggest thing. I feel like you're able to enable these people to be motivated because, again, you're giving them the story.
And how is it that, if you don't mind me jumping on that, how does an online training session go? For example, if I wanted to do that, what exactly does that entail?
So what I do is people will contact me, and then just like Tony says, what you guys were talking about before, you got to find the baseline. You got to find out where they are, and then you have to apply what you think in your experience and from a scientific perspective, what's going to work for that person. So you have to apply what you think is going to work for them, and then along the way, you're going to be adjusting and adding different variations to the diet to ensure the progress is made. And consistency. That's the biggest thing I tell my clients. Consistency. Okay, and you guys were talking about nutrition and ways to stay focused, and there's so many different ways, like paleo, if it fits your macros, flexible dieting, clean eating. So I try to just make my food taste good.
And fit a lifestyle.
That's all it is, yeah.
For the viewers and the listeners out there, I want to let you know I got the opportunity to work out with Mr. Zach Deal, and he's one of the best trainers I've ever worked out with.
I can say the same for Tony.
Seriously.
Great. We killed it.
Yes. He throws so many different new styles and different styles of exercise, and really triggers muscle confusion to the best power. It's good and refreshing to know that your audience, the people who have that online training program, can actually see and actually get the same style of workout. They almost get a piece of him one-on-one without him actually being there, which is invaluable.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and probably cost savings too. Maybe there are some folks out there, back to the financial thing, that simply cannot afford right now to go one-on-one with you at the gym, because I'm sure your time is worth money.
Well, you got
so
memberships.
they can get but there's ways to still get your knowledge without having to maybe spend the high end. Is that correct? You have different price points.
That's the thing is I was working in the gym when I was still living in North Carolina before I moved to Miami, and I was working in the gym and I was seeing 50 clients a week, and with that there's no way to really focus on one person outside of the gym. So with the nutrition coaching I formulate the nutritional programs and the workout regimens for my clients as well. So for them to be able to contact me like, hey Zach, I don't know how to do this exercise, just send the links and the YouTube link for the exercise, and that's a little bit different when you're in the gym with somebody. They don't always have the 24/7, always have the line of support that they do with the online training.
That is great. Well, Zach, thank you for coming by.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. Overall, I think everything we spoke about here, just to recap, is reducing the stress and making things more convenient, from finances to fitness to nutrition, and back to overall.
Staying consistent. Staying consistent.
Right.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. So,
this segment with Zach Deal was brought to you by Genomic, improving your quality of life through personalized testing.
and this is our takeaway section, and I'll just start it off with Doctor's Lowdown. One thing that I would always give somebody a recommendation is to reduce the foods that are causing irritation, especially in the gut, because that can actually lead to a lot of mood disorders, and people don't realize it. You ever have butterflies in your stomach?
Oh, yeah.
Or feel nauseous? And what do you want to do when you feel nauseous? Nausea starts actually in the brain.
Okay.
So the brain and the stomach have a lot to do with each other, which people don't realize. Guess what? When you're hungry, you get all, what? Anxious, stressed out, short, irritable, right? But then you eat, and what happens? So we need to take care of our gut. It's so important to reduce the sodas, the sugars, the fats that are actually causing a lot of the inflammation. So that's just my Doctor's Lowdown.
Nice.
Well, the Tony's takeaway is up next. What I have to give to you is, in addition to creating productivity through daily activity, what you can add to that is treating your body like a bank account. You put cash into a bank, right? Well, the same thing with activity. Add more activity to your wellness account. What does that mean? Every week, create something, a new challenge that's going to bring you to another level. Build that foundation up so that the next week you'll be at a higher level. All right? So
Start saving.
Start saving.
Well, that was easy for me. He just went ahead and did Karen's concept. No, my concept is a little unrelated, but I think it's important because I want to go back to the important overall getting started that I talked about. And I think the concept should be when you're cleaning up that messy drawer and you're strategically making your piles P, protection, savings, and growth, any policies you have in there as far as insurance policies are concerned or maybe retirement accounts, check out your beneficiaries. You'd be surprised. A lot of us have ex-boyfriends, ex-wives, ex-husbands, ex-spouses named as beneficiaries. And guess what? A beneficiary named on a policy trumps a will. You don't want your ex-wife getting that beneficiary designation. So that's my concept for today. All right. Well, we want to thank our wonderful guest, Mr. Zach Deal, and the gorgeous Tamarina Restaurant.
And just so you know, you can find us at blueprintradioshow.com, where you can find all of our links to social media, where we can be viewed and heard. I want to give, again, a thanks to Zach Deal, Tamarina, and Brickell. This is a beautiful location. Amp Squared for the amazing production that they're doing. Intuit Media Group for all of our back end. Genomic, Work Out Your Wealth. Mass Mutual, and especially Matthew Zakowski, attorney at law. Great guy and very productive. if we can all agree.
Yes, we can.
So we're going to right into Tony's tips. If you guys stick around on the YouTube channels or Vimeo, you'll see Tony's fitness tips.
2-minute tips.
So thank you.
Stick around for my fitness tips.
Yes, and thank you guys all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And without you guys, we wouldn't be here.
Now let's go eat.
Hi, and welcome to Tony's Tips. Today I'm going to give you an awesome total body workout that you can do at home, and it's only going to take you 10 minutes, all right? So you're going to follow this cadence. It's a split squat jump that leads right into a burpee. So we're going down, switching, or getting into that burpee, into that squat, all right? So continue. Down to the burpee, back into the squat. Remember to engage the quads, engage the glutes, get the hands ready, and get into that squat. I want you to do this 1 minute, take a 30-second break, and continue to build week to week. That's Tony's Tips. See you next week.